Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome back to another edition of The Log Show here on YouTube. How is everyone doing on this fine Tuesday, September 30th? I almost said October, and then I almost said January. That was weird. Tuesday, September 30th, and we have so much going on in sports today. Obviously, the MLB playoffs have started. As you see, my Judge jersey has switched to Jazz jersey, and the Judge jersey is on my back as the Yankees will play the Red Sox tonight in Game 1 of the wild card. Not only that, we have Cleveland versus Detroit in Game 1. That is live right now. I have it on over on a TV near me. Not only that, the other two wild card series are, you have the Dodgers playing the Reds. The Reds will travel across the entire country to play the reigning champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then not only that, the other matchup we have is the San Diego Padres playing the Chicago Cubs. So will be a fun day of baseball. A lot of good teams. This Detroit-Cleveland game's already a great pitching matchup as Detroit is up 1-0 in the bottom of the fourth right over there. Not only that, obviously, Yankees-Red Sox, a historic rivalry. That game tonight, the Reds, after, doing what they did, going on a huge streak there, while the Mets were losing and taking that wild card spot over the Mets, they play our reigning champions, Dodgers, as I just said. That one should be a fun one, seeing the young Reds finally itch into the playoffs with young stars like Elly De La Cruz over there. And then you have the Padres against the Cubs, with the Padres hoping to finally get over a hump that they have not gotten over in many years, and that is get to the NLCS and hopefully get to the World Series for the Padres and Padres fans. So that is what we got tonight on the baseball slate. But not only that, this weekend we had a great weekend of NFL football. We all kind of got teased and blue-balled in that Packers-Cowboys game that ended in a tie in overtime. We'll get into that, how I feel about those rules. Jackson Dart's first start, I watched all 28 of his dropbacks, all 20 of his attempts, all 11 of his completions. I watched every Jackson Dart dropback on the All-22 film. I'll tell you how I felt about his first start in the win over the Chargers. Last night on Monday night, we had Tua and the Dolphins get their first win as the Jets fall to 0-4. And so much more happened this weekend with the huge Tyreek Hill injury. A crazy weekend, honestly, in sports. A crazy weekend in sports, nonetheless. And a fun one that we had, and a fun week coming up 100%. Starting, I really want to, I'll get into the playoffs later about the Yankees and stuff like that, because I'm more of a Yankee fan. I have really only watched the Yankees. I only really watch the Yankees until the playoffs start, and that's when I start watching the rest of the league. So I'll do my Yankees playoff preview at the end of the show. If this is what, everyone's waiting for, you stick around for that. I do want to start the day talking about football, and starting with the biggest news in the tri-state area. As someone who lives in Jersey, is from the New York, New Jersey area, has always been here, went to school in New York. The biggest news in NFL football right now in this area is the Jackson Dart win over the Los Angeles Chargers at home at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Now, Jackson Dart, nonetheless, had a great, I won't call it great, but had a performance that resulted in a win. That's all you could really hope for at the end of the day. All you can really hope for in that situation at the end of the day is you come away with a win. That's what the goal is. And the goal is for Jackson Dart, yes, to look good in that win, but at the end of the day is to get a win. Now, when I looked at the film of Jackson Dart, it was very interesting to me to see the offense that the Giants were running, because it was an offense similar to what I've said Dable has to go back to for the longest time. It was an offense that was successful with a young Daniel Jones and is successful with a young quarterback when especially you're running into a Chargers team that, nonetheless, the defense of the Chargers did play great. The Giants defense also played great. That's what you have to remember in the result of this game, is both defenses did play well. Jackson Dart did 100%. When it came to the personnel and the skill of the Chargers defense and the disguises they were running, did have somewhat of a challenge. I won't, you know what I mean? Like, I won't sugarcoat it there. There was definitely, this was the Chargers defense that I was expecting them to be for the most part. They racked up 6 sacks. Had a lot of good disguises all over the field, were showing a lot at the line and backing a lot of people off. They had this one look where they dropped into somewhat of like a Tampa 2 look, or they were in like a man with like, it was a weird coverage. They showed 5 at the line, only rushed 2, ran man on the outside with some zones in the middle. So definitely some interesting concepts, some hidden concepts there out of the Chargers. But Dable did a very good job at, especially him being the play caller. Dable did a very, very good job at keeping Jackson Dart mentally comfortable. There was not a lot of times where I felt like he needed to look past his first read. A lot of this offense was quick and trying to get the ball out fast. You had an offense where 60% of Dart's throws were thrown within, 2.5 seconds of getting the snap. So he was getting that snap quick and looking at his first read, trying to get it to his first read many times. I didn't see a lot of plays where you really saw him go through a lot of his reads. You saw a handful of them, and on them they struggled. Only 4 attempts went over 10 yards in the air out of the 20 attempts that he had throwing the ball on Sunday. So nonetheless, it was definitely, like I just said, a very simplified offense for the New York Giants that helped Jackson Dart have the success that he had. Throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage a lot. They threw the ball 25% of the time behind the line of scrimmage on his dropbacks. So a lot there out of Jackson Dart that was definitely very interesting. And at the end of the day, when you look at how they played, like I said, it was simple. It was easy for Dart, but there's going to be no success before out of Dart when he behind this O-line is what I'm trying to get to. When he has this type of pressure that he had on Sunday, you saw it progress throughout the game, that he got more and more nervous. He got more and more of what people will call happy feet in the pocket. His mechanics started to fall off. There was a lot there that towards the end of the game you saw happen, and I feel a lot of it was because of the O-line. I think there were a few plays definitely that if he had an extra second and a half, he could have gotten to a second read or a third read that was open, and he just felt nervous to get to it and didn't feel like he had the time to get to it. And like I said, the Chargers were in his face the whole day. You have any game where you have 6 sacks as a team, obviously the quarterback, it starts to get in his head, and he starts to get a little bit nervous there as the game will progress. But you saw a lot of different looks out of the Giants than we have seen so far this year with them at Russell Wilson at quarterback. You saw a lack of the play action deep ball, which I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing that there was a lack of that. That was definitely, I feel like, a problem in Dable over the past 2 years, where he really loves that play action deep ball and he wants it to work, especially when you have your running back like a Scatterboo, like a Singletary, like a Tyrone Tracy, like when they had Saquon. And it's such a threat because people feel like you can't throw the ball that, okay, you feel like, oh, this play action is going to be open. Oh, this play action is going to be open. And it was just constant play action deep shots on second and short and third and short. And you open up a whole new side of the playbook here for the Giants with Jackson Dart, with the help of not only, simplifying the offense and giving them these quick routes, giving them these quick throws, having them hold the ball for less than 2 seconds so the pressure could barely even get there, not having him to have to go through his second and third read. You also have this new fold to your playbook that you don't have with an older person like Russell Wilson, which is Dart's legs. Dart's legs were a huge part of the game plan. He had 10 rushing attempts. Only 3 or 4 of them were scrambles that ended up being rushing attempts that he ended up gaining yards on a rush there. Only 3 or 4 of those attempts were scrambles. Had a designed run for a touchdown. When you see that flip pass to Theo Johnson later in the game, same setup as the designed run, so it definitely opens up a whole new fold to this playbook that you were unable to see with Russell Wilson. I think a big telltale sign on Jackson Dart this weekend is how much freedom do you give him going into a week against the New Orleans Saints. As you guys, as I've pointed out many times on this show, as you can see with the flag, with the jersey and all that, I'm a gigantic Saints fan with no hope in the entire team. After my quarterback's 0-10 as a starter in his career. But nonetheless, it's a thing where you have an opportunity against a very young, inexperienced secondary that's been struggling through the first 4 games of this year in New Orleans. But you also have the fold of a decent veteran-filled pass rush in New Orleans, where you have, if Chase Young can get back healthy today or this week, you might have him coming back for his first game, for one of his first games this year. You have Cam Jordan, who just broke the Saints record for most career starts as a New Orleans Saint. He's an older veteran who's savvy. You have Carl Granderson, a man who's led that team in sacks and led the NFC South in sacks 2 years ago. Has led the Saints in sacks over the past 3 years, ever since Trey Hendrickson has left. So you have an interesting situation this week, I feel like, with Jackson Dart going into the week against the New Orleans Saints, where I really feel like you can open up this offense more against this Saints defense. I think your O-line is going to struggle a little less. I think you can have your offense and your offensive line against the Saints team look similar to how they did against a Dallas team that, the Saints defense is very similar, where it's a very weak secondary and it's a good at best, on average mediocre defensive line, where your O-line may not struggle as much as they do against the Chargers team and some other teams where you see these folds and you see these holes in the Giants' offensive line. You have an opportunity this week against the New Orleans Saints to really open up this playbook and let Jackson Dart fully display his talents against first strings in this league. He was very close, if not did fully display his talents all offseason, all preseason, against those backups in preseason. And now you have an opportunity where he looked good. I won't say he looked great. You have many people in the media right now talking that he's a star and all this. He looked good, but there's a lot to fix and there's a lot to tweak. But I think this week against the Saints team that's really, like I said, been struggling a lot, you open up an opportunity for Jackson Dart to really, 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 really get going and really find his confidence against not only, again, against starters in this league, but find his confidence in a road game, in a hostile environment, a place that's always tough to play for a lot of opponents in New Orleans, but also close to home for him as a former Ole Miss player and a lot there. So you have this room with Jackson Dart that I feel you have a lot of open space to really get him to be very successful this week against the Saints. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying I don't know. That's just my filler word. I got to get that out of my vocab, guys. I got to get that out of my vocab. But I do know, because I do know. I don't know why I say I don't know. I do know. I do know what I saw in Jackson Dart. And I can't. He's definitely. I can't. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and call him a bust after that first game. I'll say that much. I mean, obviously, nobody's saying that. I think the distinction here between Jackson Dart is he a star? Is he not a star? Is he, where is his ceiling at with this Giants team? Is his ceiling going to be reached with Brian Dable is a big question. And obviously, I know how everyone goes with the Giants and young quarterbacks, and after 1 week, and we all want We all want to title Jackson Dart Rookie of the Year. We all want to title Jackson Dart the future of the New York Giants because, as much as people hate it, the NFL is better. Sports are better when New York sports are thriving. Leagues love it when New York and LA and Chicago and Dallas and these big cities, these big markets, in football and hockey, Pittsburgh and in baseball, Boston, like those Boston teams, as much as I'll hate the Red Sox, the leagues love when the big markets are doing good. So, everyone in the media really wants to, like I said, title Dart this big guy and just figure it and really just figure it out and really just don't do that yet. Don't title him the big star yet. And take a breath, enjoy it while you have it, enjoy it while you see it, and take the development in where it can be. You know what I'm saying? Like take that development in face value, please. Don't jump the gun with this kid yet, because if you do, it's clear. And that's one thing I will say about New York sports. As good as it is when they're good at sports, it's very clear that these front offices in New York sports do listen to the media. You saw it with the Jets last year. I feel like you did see it with the Dart start this year, as much as Daboll's going to come out and say that that was all his decision. I think you see the media play into it. And if we hyped it, if the media, if me and these other talking heads that love to talk about Jackson Dart and love to title people too early and love to hop on that train, if that's what we're going to do right away, the Giants aren't going to fix the real issues that they need to fix. And those real issues is the offensive line. The real issues is your secondary. The real issues are there for the New York Giants, and they've been glaring for 4 weeks. Does having a player like Jackson Dart help immensely? Yes, because it gives you money to spend. Now, you already spent money on some players, but having people like Abdul Carter, having young players like Jackson Dart on rookie deals for these next 2 to 3 years, especially if you pick up their option, which more likely or not you're going to, if we're going to say that this trajectory that we saw on Sunday is correct and this trajectory we've saw on Abdul Carter out of 4 games is correct, you're going to have a situation here with the Giants where you have 2 very good players on 2 very small contracts. So let's not, tell the Giants that they're good now. Let's tell them that they have the pieces to get there now. You have Jackson Dart. So nobody jump the gun and go, we have our guy, let's go make the run. We have our guy, let's go surround him. Because you see what happens when you go, we have our guy, let's go make a run, and you end up as the Cincinnati Bengals. Which, if that's what you want to be, if that's what the New York Giants want to be with Jackson Dart, if you want to be, let's go get him another weapon, go on a run that that was very hopeful because our O-line is scheming well together and we have a solid defense, and you want to go on one run and then post that Jackson Dart is just breaking his knees every day, then yes, Giants, you're ready for that. You might be ready for that. But what you're not ready for at all is anything further than that. You're not ready for sustained success. You have the pieces there to have the sustained success if Jackson Dart continues to play the way he played on Sunday. If you continue that development, and like I said, we'll see what my big telltale game will be when I watch that all 22 tape next Monday. How he looks against the New Orleans Saints. That's the big game to me. That's the game where if I'm Brian Daboll, if I'm the New York Giants, and I'm trying to get Jackson Dart to have this immense amount of confidence and really get him going and get him flying and fuming, just it's absolutely. I lost my train of thought there. But, that's the big game. Is if you could have him build that confidence against the New Orleans Saints, if you could have him really hone down and sorry. And if you could really hone him down, and like I said, against this New Orleans Saints team where you have the opportunity against a young defense with, yes, you're going to have somewhat of a pass rush with an experienced D-line, but like I said, a weak defense. You have the room as Brian Dable to let Jackson Dart really, really let that thing fly and really see what he can do as a quarterback in this league. You threw him in against the Chargers in his first week, and what you have there is a simplified offense where stuff clicked. It did 110%. Stuff clicked for Jackson Dart on Sunday. But with the New Orleans Saints coming up this week, I think you have room to really show him that you're going to trust him. He's your guy. This wasn't a decision just to save your job. This was a decision made on draft night to go with him for the future. It wasn't, we need a quarterback, and I like this guy. Let's go get him and hope he saves my job. It was, I want Jackson Dart. And you can, like I said, in the play calling and a lot of that, you could show that on Sunday when you have an opportunity to really let him show who he can be in this league. Because if they come out on Sunday against the Saints and I see the same offense that I saw against the Chargers, and I see Jackson Dart not even looking to second reads and just hitting first reads, and I see Jackson Dart not throwing the ball downfield a little bit more, or at least giving him the attempts to, then I don't know how much Brian Daboll truly, truly, truly trust him in that situation, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is open up that offense against the Saints 110%. Let that thing fly. Start to go into plays that you've been wanting to run with Jackson Dart since you drafted him. I think that's the best situation to go about it, is really let that thing fly for Dart. Like, let him really get rocking, really get rolling, and you can... Because going into the next few games, like I said, like if you have him play like that against the Saints, you know what I'm saying? And then in week 6, you go into a game... Oh, week 6 you go into a bye, or no, week 6 you go into a Thursday night game against the Eagles. You know, and then after that, so many times for the New York Giants, you're not gonna have this you're not gonna have this game against the Saints, but you have this game against the Saints to bring this confidence out of him to really, really, really get going. And I think you have to. I think you have to. What? Are you going to tie like on Sunday night? You think if you start slinging that thing, the Saints are going to do it back? Well, you think Spencer Rattler is going to do that to your defense? No. You think the Saints offensive line is going to be able to stop Abdul Carter and Sexy Dexy and Kayvon Thibodeau? I'll tell you right now, as a dude who's watched, 3 years of the Saints, a dude who's watched, I'm in 2025 now. I'm in, my 4th or 5th season without Drew Brees. I've watched a lot of the Saints since post Drew Brees. It's not the same there. You have an opportunity with your defense having confidence, playing well against a good offense, to get your offense confident, get your young quarterback confident, and really start slinging that thing, Jackson Dart, I saw potential to be special, man. I saw a few plays. I saw him step up in the pocket a few times. I saw a lot of good stuff there out of Jay Dart. I really did. But I also, on the same hand of it, I saw just as much bad as I did good. I saw just as much of him feeling rushed and not having correct mechanics and not hitting open receivers, just as much as I saw him, stepping up in the pocket and making a good throw, or correctly making the read to run, or making a nice throw on a quick read. I saw a lot of that, a lot of good screen passes. I did. I saw a lot of good out of Dart. I saw a lot of potential. That same potential that we saw in the preseason was 100% clearly there. And now you have an opportunity to really let that confidence and all those intangibles go through the roof if you just open up this offense against New Orleans. Just open up the offense against the New Orleans Saints, man. It'll work so well if you just open up that offense against the New Orleans Saints. What else happened this week that I want to talk about besides Jackson Dart starting? I mean, the Saints gave me hope against the Bills. That was fun for a little bit. But, that fell apart. Bro, I can't with the Saints team, man. I can't even go on the rant. I don't have their stats in front of me because I'm not even worried about going on that rant this year because I knew what this year would be as a Saints fan. But that Saints team is just terrible. Vikings, man, whew. Vikings Steelers, that was an interesting one. Kenneth Gainwell, what a game out of him. He has a come-out game. He has a breakout game for him in Dublin. That fun Dublin game was practically a Steelers home game. They were playing Renegade. They were doing it all. They were having a Steelers home game there in Dublin. And the Steelers played like they were at home. You have the longest touchdown in an international game with that 90-yard DK touchdown. Carson Wentz played he didn't play like prime Carson Wentz, but he didn't play bad. Carson Wentz definitely, did his thing there and had some fun. But Carson Wentz vibing. You got a lot of fun there in Dublin, Ireland. I expect them to go back there with the way that game was. The fans there had so much energy. Everyone seemed to be in it over there. I think that was one of my favorite international showings in a very, very long time. So, shout out Dublin, Ireland, and and the Pittsburgh Steelers for getting that done over there in Kroenke Stadium, in Sam Kroenke Stadium over there. What else? There was the tie. I'll get into that in a second. I'm just trying to do my run through before I get into that. That Sunday night tie. Falcons got a big one over the Commanders after getting routed by the Panthers last week. Patriots got a big win. May look good in that one. Ooh. This is one I definitely want to get into. The Eagles-Buccaneers. That was an interesting game because, the Eagles, man, they keep squeezing out these good wins, these close wins. They almost kind of feel like the Chiefs of last year where they're playing everyone competitively. And they're fun games to watch. They had control of that Bucs game early and really let Baker and the Bucs get into it. We almost had another classic Baker moment, and he was almost 4 for 4 on games this year with game-winning drives. But one thing I definitely want to point out is the Eagles' special teams, man. This is a special. That's something. As I call them, special teams. That's something special there. As you have a block punt this week. You got 2 blocked field goals last week. That doesn't happen a lot. And that special teams coach is it might be getting a raise or something soon because he has this Eagles special team playing absolutely insane. As I look up over at the game over there, Cleveland has tied that one 1-1. So we got a wild card game at 1-1 there in Cleveland between the Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians in the top of the 6th right now, I believe, if I could see that correctly. Yeah, it's the top of the 6th. So that one gets going. That one's getting close over there. But back to football. You really have this Eagles team where they're winning not just offensively, not just defensively, but they're winning on all 3 phases of football, and that's a big thing to have. When you can win on all 3 phases of the football, not only win, you're getting blocked field goals, blocked punts, return for touchdowns, and getting the offense, not letting yourself get set back in bad field position, and not letting the other team get points on the board. It's a big part of the game. People forget that there's 3 phases to football, and special teams will win you a game many times. Many a times do special teams have to win you a game. And if the Eagles' special teams keep performing the way that they're performing, they're going to win a lot of games for that Philadelphia Eagles team. A lot of games. Man. It was a big game for the Eagles. But now getting into it, I will talk about the Sunday night fiasco that everyone wants to talk about. The Sunday night fiasco in Dallas. How dare the NFL let that game end in a tie? How dare they? How dare they? It's almost like we all knew it was a possibility. Now, there's a lot of things I hear out there. There's a lot of different things I am hearing right now on the internet of solutions for not letting games end in a tie. Now, let me start here. I think most people agree on, if you talk to former NFL players, former NFL coaches, current NFL players, and current NFL coaches, I think there are 2 points on opposite sides of the coin that would be agreed on by players and coaches. I think on one side of the coin, you have the argument of nobody wants a tie. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants a tie. Fans, players, coaches, dogs, cats, uncles, aunts. Nobody wants a tie. Nobody wants a tie. But on the other side of the coin, you do have, I can't have this, especially if you're doing kickoffs and full drives. I can't have this six overtime game in the week 4 of the regular season. Bruce Arians talked about it yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, today on the Pat McAfee show, because they have him on every Tuesday. And he said that he was one of the coaches that did vote against this. And in that vote, you saw an interesting situation of, he said, well, there was a game in week 4 of 2022 where we had 106 offensive plays. That's ridiculous. You can't let that happen. So, you guys now ask me, Logan, what is the solution? What do we do? Well, we can't have 6 overtimes because that's not safe for the players. And we can't let games end in ties anymore, especially not like that. Well, let me start here. I'm going to look at everyone and tell you this. You guys asked for this. All of you, you asked for this. We're all complaining about something that we asked for. And you're going to ask me again, Logan, what do you mean we asked for this? Remember a couple years ago, that amazing playoff game that we saw between the Chiefs and the Bills, where we all said, how dare they not let the Bills get the ball back? It's not like the Bills had a defense on the field. It's not like they could have got a stop. No, we said, how dare we not let their offense get a chance? That's where they start. That's why there's a tie in the Green Bay-Dallas game. Because the rules have changed. And now it's patty football. Now it's, if they score, I have to get a chance to score. That's what football is now. So we're going to get ties in the regular season. Are there solutions? Yeah. Could we go to the college rules? Maybe. Could we go to a golden boot rule? Yeah. Could we, I don't know, have 2 dudes line up at the 50 and race? Yeah, we could. There's solutions we could have. But the sole reason why all of us NFL fans were blue-balled and teased and left with that shitty ending on Sunday night was because of the rule change of the Bills-Chiefs. And the fact that after a team scores a touchdown, you gotta let them get the ball back. You can't just go down and score a touchdown and win the game anymore. Because the plays are being called different when you can do that. You're not settling for field goals as much. You're not settling as much. Because when you settle because you know the team gets the ball back. So it's, let me just get the points. Let me not take the risk. You want the game to just end. You want to win the football game. You know what I mean? If I score a touchdown and I got a 4th and goal at the 5, and after that, yeah, maybe all I need is a field goal to win, and I'm in overtime, I'm going for it personally on that 4th and 5. Because I trust my defense to get a stop at some point in that 95 yards down the field. Thank you, Vin. You know, that could be why. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. How's this work? But that's why, man. It all goes back to that rule. 110%. It all goes back to that rule about what's going on, man. Like we're complaining about what we asked for. We went back we went back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and in a playoff game, because we know in the playoffs that there's an ending, that they need a player, they need someone to win. They know that. So we begged and pleaded for these goddamn rules, not thinking of the result in the regular season. And you could go back to as many shows as I've done. I think this is show number 65 for me on YouTube. I said it when it happened. I said it after it happened. I've said it ever since. There's a defense on the field. There's no reason that rule change should have ever been made. You score a touchdown, the game's over. But because we all wanted Josh Allen to have a chance, we can't let Mahomes do that. He's too good. Now we're sitting there going, what a tie. What? That's what we sound like. That's what you sound like, NFL Twitter. That's what you sound like, NFL fans. This is what we asked for. This is what you get. When you want this everyone wins football, oh, Josh Allen deserved the ball. Oh, the other team deserved the ball. No. Guess what? Get a goddamn stop. Play some fucking defense. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it, especially with the way that the people have been complaining about the fact that this game ended in a tie. Like it's not what we asked for. It's what you asked for, NFL. It's the position you put yourself in. Because you wanted something good for the playoffs. It doesn't work in the regular season. Things are good in the playoffs that aren't good in the regular season. Things are good in the regular season that aren't good in the playoffs. We'll see it in every sport, it's true. We'll see it in baseball right now. You know, I posted a TikTok the other day making fun of the Mets because they were going to Cancun because they fell apart. I made a video joking about the Mets because they told me they were Big Brother all year, making fun of that. I did. You know what I saw in the comments all the time? The whole comment section on that TikTok? Oh, Aaron Judge playoffs. Because shit don't work. Shit, not all everything adds up. That adds up in the regular season, that adds up in the playoffs, and vice versa. And that's the same thing in the NFL. It's the same thing in baseball. Same thing all over. And this is a rule change that works for the playoffs. As much as I hate it, it works for the playoffs. But you know where it doesn't work? In the regular season. Because this is what you get. And we're going to get a game soon enough, if they don't fix this, where it's the opposite of what we saw. We got lucky that that was the result in Green Bay versus Dallas. That realistically it was field goals. So yes, with the old rules, could have still happened. I see that. But you want to know what else? We're going to get a game where it's the opposite. It's going to happen. We're going to get another game where, you know, it ends in a tie because the offenses both scored a touchdown and the other one couldn't get downfield in time to get a field goal or a touchdown. We're going to get it. It's going to happen. Or a team gets a touchdown with 40 seconds left and the team goes down and scores a touchdown to tie the game. And that's the ending of the game. We're going to get it. Stop with it. I'm done with it. Stop with it. I'm moving on to baseball, man. I'm moving on to the Yankees. Because that's a big game tonight. Football week 5 is going to be fun, but we got a big game for the Yankees tonight. Big game for the Yankees tonight as they stay at home and play the Boston Red Sox to move on to the wild card. They were unable to get done what they needed to get done. Actually, I'm not going to say it that way for the Yankees because they did everything they needed to do to win the division at the end of the year. Just so did Toronto, so good for Toronto. Toronto gets the bye. As we go into a game one tonight, obviously we're going to have Fried versus Crochet on the mound. We're going to have Rodon versus Bayo tomorrow. So we have great pitching matchups coming through this series. Probably Schlittler, sorry. We probably have Schlittler on Thursday if we go to a game 3. If that ends up happening, we'll see what happens, but that's probably who would pitch Thursday to save Luis Gil for a game 1 in Toronto. So we'll see how that goes, but nonetheless, a huge game for the Yankees tonight, starting off the MLB playoffs against Boston, a team that they've struggled with. Now, like I've said to people, in that last series, they gave us some hope going into a series against Boston. They looked decent at home in their last year or in Boston in their last series against Boston. They played well. Fried pitched well. There wasn't too many errors. There wasn't that many. There was 1 or 2 errors throughout that whole series. It wasn't atrocious Yankees baseball. They were hitting the ball well. So there is hope here for me as a Yankee fan in this series. And there's hope for me as a Yankees fan because as all year I've been saying that the pieces are there for this Yankee team to go on a run. The pitching has to click well, and Judge has to play well. I think that's the big thing that everyone's saying. As I just said in my football rant before, the amount of comments I got on my post making fun of the Mets about, but Aaron Judge in the playoffs this, Aaron Judge in the playoffs that. It's very true. This is a man who, in my opinion, should win back-to-back MLB MVPs. If you want to give it to Cal, you could give it to Cal. But I think this man should be an MLB back-to-back MVP this year. I think Aaron Judge, even with missing 10 games, he has 53 home runs. He won his first batting title of his career. He leads the league in OPS. There was a stat going around all over the internet on Talking Yanks, a lot of these Yankees fan pages. They were posting this in the MVP discussion where if you take Aaron Judge's OPS and lower it by 20 points, he's Cal Raleigh. He has the same OPS as Cal Raleigh. If you take Cal Raleigh's OPS and lower it by 20 points, he's average at best. And it's the same thing with batting average. So when you look at that situation, obviously you need Aaron Judge to step up. You need this pitching rotation to step up. We can't be looking at a game in the Yankees, especially early against Boston and especially against teams like Toronto, 2 teams that we've struggled with throughout the regular season this year. They both won the season series on us. You have these 2 teams where if you have a lead, the lead has to be kept. You can't be scared when you're putting in Luke Weaver. We can't be scared when Camilo Doval touches the round. We can't be scared when Mark Leiter comes in. And these we need to be able to trust these guys in the playoffs, and they need to take another step up along with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge does not play well in the playoffs. He bats under 200 so far in his career in the playoffs. That has to improve. There is so much that has to improve out of the Yankees. You have to click it together. You cannot at all with Aaron Judge or with the New York Yankees. You cannot make the mental mistakes that you made against these good teams all season long. You can't have Volpe throwing it over Goldschmidt's head. Aaron Boone, you need to sit the team down. You needed to do it last night. If not, you need to be doing it right now as I'm alive. You need to sit the team down and go, it's done now, guys. There's no more room for a mistake. Every mistake is a stab wound. And if you get too many, you're going to kill yourself. You can't take these self-inflicted wounds. You can't do it as the Yankees. Not in playoff baseball, not in October. It doesn't slide at this time of year. It doesn't slide anymore. It's now or never. That's all it is for the Yankees. You need to win game 1. I kid you not. You need to win game 1. You cannot go into a game 2 facing elimination at home. You need to win game 1 with your star right now, Max Fried, on the mound. You need to win tonight. You need to play the best baseball that you have played since May. That's the Yankees I need back. I need the Yankees that hit 7 home runs against Milwaukee in Game 1. Those are the Yankees you need to be. Those are the Yankees you need to be. You have no room for error. No room at all for error. You need to step up. Aaron Judge, you need to step up. Cody Bellinger, you need to step up. Anthony Volpe, you need to not play like terrible. You just need to be decent. The bullpen I could get into. Hours and hours. Luke Weaver. I need the Dream Weaver of last year. That's what I need. I need the Jedi. I need the Master of the Force. That's the Luke Weaver I need. Camilo Doval. I need the Camilo Doval that I saw in San Francisco. Devin Williams. I need the Devin Williams that I saw last year in Milwaukee. Mark Leiter. I need to see the Mark Leiter that we saw through while the rest of the team was having a slump and we were losing games. That's the Mark Leiter I need because you were actually pitching well. Early August Mark Leiter. Late July Mark Leiter. Same thing with the normal rotation. I need Will Warren to step it up. Especially at home. Will Warren at home. Terrible. Will Warren on the road. Vibes. I need it. Or it might be the other way around. But Will Warren still, I need to step up. I need a lot here out of the Yankees. I trust this team. I really do. When I see this team play at its best, I have no doubt that they're the best team in the American League. An American League that is very weak. An American League that is very winnable for every team involved. For all 6 teams involved, it's a very, very, very winnable American League. Between the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Mariners. This is a wide open. Bro, you as the Yankees, you were tied for first in the AL with Toronto at 94 wins. You won the AL last year with 94 wins, both of which are the lowest to win a division or to win a conference since the 90s. Neither of you are either none of the teams in the American League top 95 wins. It's wide open. It's wide open. It's right in front of you, Yankees. It's right there. It's going to be a fun one, though. I can't wait to watch tonight. First pitch tonight is at 7:05? 6:30? It's a weird time. I know it's a weird time. 6:08. 6:08 is first pitch for all of the Yankee games. They have the mid slot as the Dodgers get the 9:08. So it makes sense now that I'm reading the rest of the times to squeeze it in. But 6:08 is first pitch tonight for the New York Yankees as we have Max Fried versus Garrett Crochet on the mound. So that'll be a fun one. Not only that, week 5 of the NFL coming up will definitely be an interesting one. Obviously, some big matchups to the Rams-Niners on Sunday or on Thursday Night Football. That one will be fun. You have the Vikings-Browns in London as the Vikings were shipped overseas for 2 weeks. Speaking of which, what they do to you, the NFL? NFL, what they do to you? What the Vikings do to get shipped overseas for 2 weeks? I need to know. Ravens looking to bounce back if Lamar's healthy against the Texans. Dolphins, Panthers. It's weird. A lot of weaker matchups. It's a lot of good teams versus good teams, bad teams versus bad teams this week. Monday night, you got Jaguars, Chiefs, which surprisingly enough looks like a good game with the way both teams are playing. So that's how. Obviously, tonight you have game 1 for the Yankees. You have game 2 tomorrow, game 3 on Wednesday if they had. Otherwise, that is it. It seems like my camera has gone out. So that is all I got for you guys today. Thank you, everyone, for listening now. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That is all I got for you guys today. Peace out.